Now I'd like to take a look at some basic blocks that you'll find throughout the system of Kenpo. To start, I want to put you in a horse stance. So put your feet a little wider than the shoulders, bend those knees, toes are parallel. And now take your hands, I'll get a little closer. Fingers are close together, curl them once, twice, put the thumbs in front. So those are the fists I want you to use. And you're going to put those near your pectorals. This is called a chambered position. From here, I want to first examine the upward block. Your right hand is going to travel up your center line, and it's going to look a lot like an uppercut. Once it gets about nose level, eyebrow level, it's going to turn over into this upward block. I'm going to kneel so that you can see me a little better. Come closer. So it comes up the center line, and it turns over. Notice it's not out here. If something's coming overhead, this really isn't going to do a good job of protecting me. It needs to be above my head. But also notice that it's at a slight downward angle. If I make it horizontal, you can see my hair, and that means that something might still hit me. So don't rest your hand on your forehead, but lift it up high and give it a slight angle. And now, to go back to chamber, we'll simply retrace our steps down the center line and back to chamber. Try the left hand. Up the center line and turn it over. Notice my palm is facing away, it's facing up, so don't try to keep it down this way. Your thumb is oriented towards the floor and your pinky is oriented towards the ceiling. And then retracing the steps. Notice I didn't have you do this. I see a lot of people do upward blocks in this fashion. But notice that as I'm traveling, if you pause at any certain point in time, in this case my solar plexus and my face are vulnerable. If I go a little higher, now my solar plexus and my throat are vulnerable. So this really isn't doing a good job of protecting my center line of my vital targets. But if I travel this way, I've got everything covered. If something comes in, my solar plexus is okay. If something comes in a little higher, my throat is okay. And then the real concern here is the top of my head, so I'm turning it over for the upward block, and there you see I have the top of my head fully protected. So it's important that you travel in this manner. Now what I want you to practice is, again I'll scoot back just a little more, is alternating. So you're going to have your right upward block. You're going to retrace your steps, and then from this position, have your left hand come in front. And finish. And then the left can begin to retrace its steps, and have your right come on the outside. Notice that the new block is always on the outside. My left is the new blocking arm, therefore it's on the outside. My right is the new blocking arm, therefore it's on the outside. And then when you get comfortable, you can just alternate those all day. But notice this windshield wiper effect. I've got my center line always protected as I'm executing, so I'm not doing monkey arms like this. Notice I have nothing protected. So that's important. Again, stay in your horse stance. I'm on my knees so that you can see me better, but you stay in your horse stance. The second thing I want to try are inward blocks. So you're going to prepare, notice it's out here on the diagonal, and you're going to block inward across your face and rechamber. Try that one more time. Prepare, inward block, chamber. Try the left side. Prepare, inward block. Notice I didn't stop here. I didn't just kind of do whatever, because if something's coming in to hit me in the nose, I want to block fully across my face to knock that arm or leg or whatever out of the way. Chamber, tight chambers, tight fists. Prepare, inward block. Chamber, prepare, inward. Now from here, keep your left hand in place. Let's prepare the right hand, and we'll chamber the left and block with the right simultaneously. And now we can do the opposite side. Prepare, chamber, and block. Now don't worry, this stuff will get far more practical than this very quickly, but I want you to focus on building the coordination by alternating your hands in this fashion. It seems like busy work for right now, but it will help you greatly in the near future, so please do this. So these are the inward blocks. Let me go back to my feet, and we'll do these two blocks together. So from a horse stance, from the chambered position, you can do upward blocks. You can also do inward blocks. Now what we can do are extended outward blocks. When I come back, we'll take a look at the extended outward block, the vertical outward block, and the downward block. The extended outward block is just the reverse motion of the inward block. So imagine you're in your horse stance, I'm here on my knees, you have your hands chambered at your pectorals. With your right hand, bring it across your body and block outward this way. And then retrace your steps on the way in. Notice it's just a circle. If you've ever seen the movie Karate Kid, one of my favorites, you'll remember Mr. Miyagi saying, wax on, wax off. And this is kind of a wax on, wax off kind of motion. You can imagine you're polishing a piece of glass or polishing the hood of a car. And that's the circle we're drawing for our extended outward block. You'll notice that my hand, the palm is facing the front, but it's tightly closed in a fist. You'll also notice that my forearm is wider, it's on the outside of my shoulders. So it's not in here real tight, it's out here. Let's try your left side. That's a left extended outward block. And then we'll pull it back to chamber. Extended outward block, back to chamber. We can do the right hand again. Now, just like we did with the other two blocks, we can alternate, we can coordinate our efforts. You can retrace your steps, covering your face, and you can begin the left arm on the outside as you pull your right hand to chamber. And then we can do the opposite side. You can begin to cover your face with the left. The right hand, the new block, can begin on the outside as you pull your left hand to chamber. Cover, outward block, cover, outward block. Now, I always end up seeing people trying to poke their hands through different places, or they get their hands kind of tied in a knot as they're going from one to the other, and they don't really pay attention. Always remember the new block is on the outside. And a great way to help give some meaning to that would be to do this block from a stance. So if you face the front in a right neutral bow, you can use your right hand to do an extended outward block. You can protect your face, you can cover your face with your left hand and do a right extended outward block. And in this setting, it only makes sense to have your right hand on the outside because your right foot and your right hip and your right shoulder are all the furthest forward. So you can cover with the left and the right hand would block on the outside. And you can try the other side. So now I can cover with my right hand, and since my left shoulder is further forward, my left hand would be on the outside. So that's a left extended outward block in this case, delivered in a left neutral bow. Now, I want to make a distinction between an extended outward block and a vertical outward block. So if we come back to our horse stance in our chambered position here, with my right hand, I'm delivering a vertical outward block. Hopefully you can detect some of the differences. The first is that my palm is facing me. The second is that my block is executed exactly shoulder width. So here's the extended outward block, and here's the vertical outward block. So you can imagine if something is coming in here towards my face, I'm going to block in that fashion, striking and blocking there with my arm. Let me do this from a side view. Notice that my bicep is horizontal and my forearm is vertical. So don't let it be a lazy block down here, and don't let it be a wild block over here. You want to finish just like that, having the bicep horizontal and the forearm vertical. Here's a picture of the extended outward block, and then the vertical outward block. Let's look at the left side. So that's a left vertical outward block. Now you might say, well, what's the big deal if I stop here or if I send it all the way out? You'll see some applications. The extended outward block is by far more powerful. You incorporate different muscle groups and it feels like it would stand up to a harder strike if you had to truly block something. The vertical outward block definitely has its applications though. Not so much as a very strong opposing block, but as more of a parry or a check. So you'll see those as we go along. One more block. Now I want to look at the downward block. So we'll go back to our horse stance in our chambered position. Put your right hand at your left shoulder and block downward. Chamber that. Try your left side. Left hand goes to the right shoulder and you'll block downward. Notice that my arm finishes on the outside of my thigh. So don't stop here at your center line, but block completely through. Also notice that my palm is facing down and my hand is in a tight fist, so don't block with an open hand, but block with a tight fist. So I'll chamber that. Prepare at the shoulder, blocking downward. Chamber. Prepare at your left hand at your right shoulder, blocking downward. Now let's coordinate our efforts. Leaving that left hand out there, let's prepare at the left shoulder. You're going to chamber the left and block with the right simultaneously. Now we can prepare the left hand, chambering the right, blocking with the left simultaneously. And when you're comfortable with that, you should be able to deliver them at about this speed, but it does take some practice. So, as a quick review, I'll do them here for you from a horse stance. We have upward blocks. We have inward blocks. We have extended outward blocks. We also have vertical outward blocks, which are executed in just the same fashion, but the palms are facing you. And we have downward blocks. So there you have it for the basic blocks.